Welcome everyone to the second day of Precious Jewels from the Buddha in the Light of Integral Yoga. Before we start the session, of course, we'll just step back for a few moments of silence before Monica starts the session.
So, very warm welcome, everyone. Thank you, James, and thank you, everyone, for being present today. So, is there anything that we want to share from the practice, homework, etc., that we discussed yesterday?
I will say that it was illuminating to recognize how frequently I went into one of the eight feelings or behaviors or whatever we called them, the causes of suffering. So it was just how frequently that happened.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yes, yes. Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else? Anything that you want to add on to what Rick just shared?
Hi.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did try about what you shared yesterday about whenever an overwhelming emotion or a thought that comes, like, stay in the body and pay attention to how do you feel in the physical body rather than going into the storyline or the drama. And I don't think I remembered it at every instance, maybe throughout the day today. But when I remembered and I tried it, it did, it did help me calm. So yes, yeah.
Thank you. Yes. Yes. And also that we don't have to do anything about these sensations.
Yeah.
When you are tuning in the body, when any overwhelming sensations are there, disturbing emotions are there, or too pleasant sensations are there or emotions are there. In both cases, when we tune into the body as you did, we don't have to do anything about those sensations.
Yeah.
The craving or aversion, we just have to endure. That's what we were talking yesterday. That
Right.
staying in the body with continuity with the breath, we just have to hold on, go through the sensation fully, and slowly we see that it stays for some time and then it disappears. Like, there is no rigidity about that sensation. It's impermanent, as we were talking yesterday. It comes
Right.
and goes like a cloud. So how can I base my action on something which comes and goes like a cloud?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I think most of the time what happens is, that storyline takes precedence, and then and you want to act there, like, so that was like, this is a good revelation. I mean, I think all these things we hear and we so many places, and these are all, but again bringing it back into your consciousness and practicing, as you said yesterday, like again and again. Yeah. So that's a revelation to me.
Exactly. Yes. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
sharing.
you.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Anybody else wants to add on their experience of the practice? Or if it didn't work for anyone, that also we can share. Okay. So I'm assuming there is nothing that we want to share right now. So, so I think this is really nice because what we are seeing is that maybe we haven't looked at the situation that we have been struggling with, or the situations that we struggle with. Maybe we haven't looked at them from a different angle so as to really resolve it. Rather than what we have been doing is that, as we were discussing yesterday, that we have been mostly in the drama line, in the story line, and there nobody has got any resolutions. The design is not such. The design of creation is not such. And that is why so many masters have said repeatedly the same thing, that you will not find a resolution in the drama that you have. Nobody has ever found. And what do we mean by finding a resolution? That the promise that we still have from a worldly situation, that it will give me something, it does not hold true. That's why we were talking about the 8 worldly concerns. Because why do I get stuck in the mental chatter? Why do I get stuck in the drama or the storyline? Because maybe somebody hurt you. So again, running from pain, wanting pleasure, right? So maybe somebody did not give you the praise that you expected. So running towards praise, running away from criticism. So we see that as long as I am not convinced about this really, truly, fully, that the world and its people and its situations cannot give me anything lasting. Why? Because that's not the design of the creation. Then I cannot be attracted towards those promises which the mind again and again brings up through the thoughts of the stories or the people, and because of that, my concentration also can't be fully, like we were talking yesterday, that the mind chatters in the background. Now, the problem is not the mind is chattering. Like I am sitting here talking with you, there is a background noise that I hear on the streets, but it's of no importance to me right now, right? Because I know where I want to focus. But when we sit for concentration, that mental chatter that we talk about in the background is not a background anymore. It's very important for us because the promises still hold for us. So slowly, as we grow in true wisdom, in true insight, that yes, oh my God, why am I blinding myself again? Why am I hoping from the world again? Why do I do this blindness again and again? Running in a circle like a hamster running on a wheel. So then we can stop running on that wheel, because we know that this beggar world cannot give me anything lasting, and hence the running around is not required. Then you can cut through those 8 worldly concerns, and then the concentration can be so good, because those background mental thoughts or chatter is not importance to you, of any importance to you anymore. You know that those are false promises, and everybody is stuck because of those promises. So it's not that we don't know about all this. As Ashwini was sharing, we know about this, but we haven't really, what we do is we jump from one teaching to another. Imagine I start with a guitar, and 2 days I try to play the guitar, and then I jump to piano. Then I jump to sitar or veena. I won't be able to play anything. So anything that we find beneficial, and it may not be this that you find beneficial, it may be something else, which is of truly of any benefit to you, of cutting through this running around in samsara, then we sit with it, we really follow it. Like a doctor's advice, like if you know that the doctor really is trustworthy, he will not give you false advice, and then you have practiced it once and you see, oh, it's very beneficial. if you abandon it, it's like a fool, you know, I am a fool then if I abandon the doctor's advice. And then I feel still again go to the doctor and doctor asks me, did you do all those things that I told you to do? And I'm like dumbfounded, you know, I didn't do. And I'm complaining of the problem again. Oh, I'm suffering, I'm in misery, but I didn't practice, you know, as it was to be practiced. So we have to remind ourselves again and again that when we talk about disturbing emotions or dealing with them or sorting them out, it is not in the mind that we sort them out truly from the root. If we want really to be free of those disturbing loops, really, if you really want now, end of drama, then we have to work on the body level. So that's why we were again and again tuning into the body sensations of jealousy, of clinging, of aversion, of anger, anything of even pleasant sensations where you get craving for a certain person or a situation or anything. So that restlessness, feel that restlessness in the body, sensations in the body, stay with it for as long as required with the breath, tuning into the sensations. They will keep moving. Sometimes their texture may change. Nothing doing. You don't have to follow any dictates of the the storyline in the head. The mind will also go into, your attention will be drawn into the head storyline again and again, but you bring it back to the body again, and you stay with holding the hand of that restlessness, agitation in the body for as long as required. We don't have to do anything about it, we just have to endure. Right? So that's just a kind of a revision of what we were talking yesterday. Okay, so today we just I introduce a few maybe new concepts. Their essence still remains the same, we all have studied, but I'll just share because we are talking of the Buddha's teachings here. So I'll just share. So he shares that this path is a path of purification. Mother also, Sri Aurobindo also talks about that we have to purify ourselves, right? And he says that when we become observant of ourselves, when we begin to tune in the body, then we see that, oh my God, there are so many reactions I have. To this person, I react in a different way. Same situation. But to that person, I react in a different way. Why? So these are all old tendencies that we are carrying. These are our conditionings. So the moment we turn within in the body, then we see that it's like a default program running. I am programmed. I don't have any free will. To this person, I react in this particular way. To that person, I react in this particular way. Why on earth? I don't know. Okay, so I'm conditioned. I'm programmed. And this prejudice and conditioning, what it does is it blurs my vision. So I'm attached to a few people in my life, not attached to another few, and I behave differently. So this I have to catch, this blurry vision I have to catch. This hides reality from me. And then we also see, when we become observant of ourselves, we also see that all these tensions and tendencies, the ways of reactions, they keep me agitated. Because if I follow their dictates, I am restless and agitated and suffering. And slowly I can see that if I become conscious of it and I don't want anything from them, then I don't have to really follow them like a puppet. So all this can be reversed. So I'm getting purified in my own self. This we come across, the same thing, the path of purification or purifying ourselves. This we come across in Education, Sri Aurobindo and Mother on Education, this book. And here we see that Mother, when she talks about education of the vital, again, she brings out the similar points. She says, to become conscious of the many movements in oneself and take note of what one does, why one does it, is indispensable starting point. The child must be taught, and mind you, when Mother says child, it's not just children, it's us. It's all of us. The child must be taught to observe himself, to note his reactions and impulses and their causes, to become a clear-sighted witness of his desires, his movements of violence and passion, his instincts of possession and appropriation and domination, and the background of vanity against which they stand, with their counterparts of weakness, discouragement, depression, and despair. So all this is there in integral yoga. There is no diversion here. To become conscious of our movements and to purify our movements, refine them of all the negative qualities and negative traits. That's what we are doing. Then he's just again sharing something from the Buddha and then sharing whatever Mother or Sri Aurobindo. So here it says that this path requires continual application and practice. Now this we know for anything. Any little thing that we have to do in life, even crawling, from when a child is from crawling, he wants to walk. How much of practice he has to do? How many times he has to fall and get up again? That has to be repeated for anything that we want to do nicely. So now if we have taken this initiative that, okay, now I want to have a safe, clean mind, sane mind, clean body and clean feelings, we will have to work. Because by default, there is no cleanliness. And he says, we are taking from Ganaka Mogalana Sutta. This I will give to Pooja. She can add in on the notes. Someone may recite much of the texts, but if he does not practice them, such a heedless person is like a herdsman who only counts the cows of the others. He does not enjoy the rewards of the life of a truth seeker. So if I am a herdsman, I have to take care of my cows, not other person's cows, right? Another may be able to recite only a few words from the text. And we have seen, all of us have seen people who have not read much. They are not scholarly in nature, but their life is a living example of a purity. Love and purity. And they are very simple people. Their house is not full of books like ours. And yet they just know it. So like that, he says, another may be able to recite only a few words from the texts, but if he lives a life of Dhamma, taking steps on the path from its beginning to the goal, then he enjoys the rewards of the life of a truth seeker. So again, beginning to the goal, yesterday we were talking of. Yeah. And Dhamma, when Buddha is saying Dhamma, it's the law of nature. And when we talk of law of nature, we have to come very well versed with the law of impermanence. Things are changing every moment. Quantum physics has now come to a point that it tells us, even scientifically, that yes, there is nothing solid. Things are changing every moment. So if there at the basic atomic and subatomic levels, nothing is solid, then how can I claim that at a grosser individual level can something be solid? It's only a misperception of the senses. It appears as if something is solid, but there is no true solidity there. So there is nothing I can bank upon. That's what we were talking yesterday. There is nothing I can bank upon. And we have to be very comfortable with that. No banking upon anything. Being okay with the groundlessness. No promises from the world. Then we are okay. Then the mind cannot wander when I sit for concentration. And if the mind is wandering when I sit for concentration, then it means I am blinded again due to some attachment, desire, something still clinging from the past. So they say, masters have said that in Buddhism, there is the mantra, very famous mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum. That's not the main mantra of Buddhism. In Buddhism, the main mantra is let go. Let go. And if I let go, then mind cannot wander. It cannot be scattered. Then I'll be fully where I want to pay attention. So like that, it gets purified. So he says that the only way to experience truth is to directly look within. This is what we have been talking about, looking at the sensation level, to observe oneself. And this inner darkness needs to be dispelled through the path of observation and introspection. So whenever anything, any difficult situations are most welcome, because they only tell me, where am I? Because if I'm all alone, no difficult situation, everything is good, I have good people around me, then I will not be triggered. And if I'm not triggered, then how would I get to know where do I have to work? So it's good if some of us may be surrounded with people or thoughts which are very troublesome. Good for us. Because that only is it's like a scale of, I can measure myself on that scale inwardly. Whether I'm purified really, or it's only in my head that I'm feeling purified, but not really, right? So he says in Mahaparinibbana Sutta, within this fathom-long body containing the mind with its perceptions, I make known the universe, its origin, its cessation, and the way leading to its cessation. So suffering, the cause of suffering and the end of suffering is in the body, not anywhere else, no matter how many people we may run to. So there's another big word that I am giving to each one of us, just to again, as a homework, contemplate on this. And that word is self-cherishing mind. Self-cherishing mind. So in Buddhist discourses, we often come across this word, that always the mind is busy about, what about me? My story, my drama. I am not happy. What did that person say to me 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 5 minutes ago? So we will see again that, like Rick was sharing in the beginning, that it was just centered around those 8 worldly concerns. Now go closer. If we go closer, then we see that all those concerns, what am I concerned about? Me. So it is the self-cherishing mind, which is the root of the misery. That's what they call it. If I'm standing in a queue and I'm losing patience, and suddenly I become aware of, oh, I'm losing patience, there is a restlessness that I can feel. And if I check, what am I concerned about? What is, so disappointing? Me, I am not further ahead in the line. There are so many people further, than me. So this is very funny and very enlightening also, that the root of the misery is self-cherishing. Me, the separate self, me. People are always concerned about themselves. Why is nobody bothering about me? So there was something which I came across, which I found I thought it was quite resonating with this self-cherishing mind and this idea of separate self. So, coming to it, just one thing before I move to that text. Now, Buddha said that there is no self, an-atman. What he meant, and how it is understood at times very wrongly, it's like inside there is like a hollow. There is no self. But that is not, and I am not saying that that is not what he said. It's all the teachers of contemporary tradition, Buddhist tradition, they are saying it. And they are saying, when he said that there is no rigid self within that we consider ourselves to be, that I am this body or this rigid self. And he said that no, there is no self within. There is no rigid self that I can call me. What he wanted to say was that there is an interconnection. Like when I'm saying me, what am I trying to say? I am first of all referring also to this body, right? I am referring to my thoughts, emotions, feelings, all the vitality that is there within. Now, if we closely look at within, all this is also present in each one of us. All of us have thoughts, all of us have feelings, all of us have this consciousness which looks at the feelings. So what is this rigidity about this is me? So if we actually look at it, we see that, okay, we are all composed of similar elements, but there is no solid personality called me. I can't pinpoint that. So that is what he meant when he said that there is no self, anatman, no rigid self within. This is something which Sri Aurobindo also says. Although Sri Aurobindo introduces the concept of psychic being. But if we go into the theory of psychic being also, there also he is not saying that psychic being is a personality. It's very clear. It's not a personality which is getting born again and again. No. He very clearly, Mother also, Sri Aurobindo also. So there is no confusion here. Right? There is, and in Buddhism also, they believe in rebirth and reincarnation, and like lamas are reincarnated again and again. They are choosing again and again the fourth Dalai Lama, the fifth Dalai Lama, like that. He's reincarnating. So they also believe that there is something within us. They call it a stream of consciousness, maybe, which is reincarnating. And it has assimilation of previous experiences, similar to our psychic being. So I personally, I may be not well versed, but I personally so far cannot see any contradiction here. So Sri Aurobindo says here in one of the essays, so this is a new laptop I have. I can't share the screen, but again, I will share what I'm reading out of later with Pooja. So he says that egoism is our problem. Egoism means believing in the separate existence of me, for which I'm concerned. He says, whence then comes this delusion of egoism? If there is no separate existence and only Brahman is, we answer that there is separate existence, but only in manifestation, not in reality. It is as if one actor could play different parts, not in succession, but at all at once. So an actor is playing billions of roles at once. Such is the capacity of that actor. It appears to be separate, but actually it's the same actor. So he says then, the most difficult of all the knots is egoism. The belief in the rigid self called me, the self-cherishing mind. And if we look at it, this is the root of all our misery, all our suffering. So he says, the most difficult of all the bonds and everything is egoism. The delusion that we have an individual existence sufficient in itself, separate from the universal and only being. Ekameva Dvityam, who is one not only beyond time, space, and causality. Not only are we all Brahman in our nature and being, waves of one sea, but we are each of us Brahman in his entirety. So he says there is no separate existence of an ego. There is no rigid self as it appears to be. Buddha also pointed out again and again the same thing, that this is an illusion, and this is what he called the fundamental ignorance. Because if I believe in a rigid self called me, it is impossible that I do not crave and am not aversive of. Because if I am believing that this little me is what I consider myself to be, and that is it, then I will all the time feeling lack in that being, because it's such a narrow being. I cannot be satisfied with it. And all the time I will be trying to fulfill that lack because I'm believing wrongly. So there will be a lack. I'll be wanting to fulfill that lack. And in want to fulfill that lack, I'll be craving. So the fundamental point is ignorance. Ignorance means not knowing who I truly am. Believing in a separate self called little me. And if I get rid of that fundamental ignorance, if I truly see that no, this is not true, because all of us have consciousness. What is so special about me? All of us have thoughts. All of us have feelings, similar feelings, jealousy. You go to UK, US, wherever, all these feelings remain the same. Jealousy, ambition, lust, greed, pride, vanity, all the same. You can't say that, oh, in India, we have jealousy number this and jealousy number that. No, not possible. So when we look at this, we see that we are a formation of the similar elements. There is nothing solid, rigid about me as an entity that I am, wanting to believe. So slowly, as we grow in our practice, we will see it for ourselves that this is true. Not only in theory, but in practice. In the body, I will see this. Right? And when I grow in that wisdom, it is impossible that I crave. It is impossible that I am aversive to something. There I reach the true consciousness, which Sri Aurobindo says as a byproduct is equality. True consciousness, the byproduct of true consciousness is equality. You rise above your likes and dislikes. And he's saying to Nirodbaran that even the disgusting smells, you have to have ananda of a Brahman in that disgusting smell. So it should not be disgusting anymore to you. It should give you some kind of ananda, like a scorpion bite is giving Sri Aurobindo ananda, delight of Brahman. So that may be a long walk for us, no problem. But we can start here. And we can look into this self-cherishing mind where all the time I'm thinking about me, while that me does not exist. It's a lost game that I'm playing. I'm trying to fulfill an abyss which cannot be fulfilled by the things I'm trying to fulfill it with. Because that abyss does not exist. Ego is an abyss. You will never be able to fulfill that ego. It's like the other word that I can use for it is mirage. A mirage looks like something, but it's not truly there. So this separate existence of me, who everybody has tormented, and what harm has been done to me, this will not lead us anywhere, because its belly can never get satisfied. So Pooja is saying, isn't it more important to see things the way they are rather than see beauty in everything? Okay, so you are meaning to say that I can see things for what they really are, and I will know what they really are, and beauty is something separate.
So when you mentioned about disgusting and still see beauty in it,
Yes.
my thought was my journey, what I'm trying to do is to see the situation as they really are rather than seeing too bad or too good in it. So trying to be more objective so that I can understand it better rather than emotions taking it over. So when we talk about seeing beauty in everything, even if it's disgusting, I thought maybe, then again, I'm getting into another delusion is what I thought.
Delusion. Yeah, from the place where we all where we are, it may appear as a delusion. You're correct.
Sorry, I may have not used the right word, but what I meant was okay. So to try to see the things there, because we are talking about so much about conditioning, then to see actually to rise up everything, to rise above everything. Now to rise above everything, because yesterday you mentioned a very beautiful point that the person who has risen is very sensitive to pain. And I liked that because everyone says get detached, detached, detached. But that is, I think, in the worldly manner, I feel you're taking life out of that. So I feel that you have to be sensitive. At the same time, you need to be strong enough to handle those emotions. So see it, and so that's what I thought. Maybe is it more about, and how do I do it? It's still a path, but
How
yeah,
do I do what?
to see the things they are. So to
Yeah,
go
that's
beyond
the point.
conditioning.
That's the point. That's the point. Yeah, I think the first, so this is very important because it's very easy to say that I'm ready to see the way things truly are. But our eyes, our vision, not only this bodily eyes, generally, our vision is such, it's so blinded. It's so blinded that first I have to recognize that my vision is blinded. That's the first step. So without claiming that I can see clearly, see, if I am a blind man, we all of us are actually, in ignorance, we are blinded. So if I am a blind man, what is the best I can start to do if I want to walk? First of all, admit that I cannot see. So we have to be very factual. As you said, we have to be factual. What is the fact? Fact is that my vision is blurred by the thoughts and opinions and my prejudices and my conditioning and my storylines and what I think of things. So my vision is completely blurred vision. This is the first starting point. If I don't admit it, if I don't agree that my vision is not blurred and I know I can see well, then of course we don't have to hold any of these sessions. We are that. Right? But all of us have blurry vision. Now, this is what we call sattvic ego. Sattvic ego admits that I am blurred. I am hazy. I have thoughts, I have opinions about people and myself and my story, but I know that they are not true. Why? Because I have so many distortions through which I see. It's like we have multiple filters through which I see. So I personally think that I cannot claim that I see things for what they really are. Where can I start from? I can start from admitting that yes, I am unsure of my thoughts. I am unsure of my feelings, no matter how intense they may be. I am unsure of opinions and judgments about myself and people. Why am I unsure? Because now I have realized at least this much, that my vision is distorted. Now, this is not something which I can force upon you. This has to be your realization in your life. So far, all the practical experiences of your life, if they have given you this understanding that yes, I am blurry in my vision, then good for you. If they have not yet given you this understanding that no, I know what I am doing, right? Nobody has to tell me anything. I know what I'm doing. So, and I'm very sure of my thoughts. Then good for you. Good for you, because see, no harm. It's a win-win situation. And what will happen? So if I am not admitting that my vision is distorted, and it is distorted, sooner or later, I will encounter a situation in my life which will be a very dissatisfying situation. It will bring a lot of suffering. And through that suffering, I will come to a clearer vision. I will let go of my previous opinions and ideas and I'll move further. Right? So it's a win-win situation. And in case I see better and clear right now, and I have somewhere a feeling that no, I see clearly, good for us. And what is the mark of seeing clearly? You will not have sufferings associated with the self-cherishing mind. Your sufferings will not be associated with obsessive concern about you. You may have pain, as you rightly said, as a human being, we will have pain. But that pain may be more about, how can I help in this situation a certain person, or that, the general sadness that you feel around, how people may suffer, how your friends may suffer. But the pain will not be about you as the rigid entity that you are. So this is how you can gauge. But I feel that this question of do we see things clearly, I feel that we really don't see things clearly. There are so many filters that we have. So the first thing on the path is to admit that yes, I don't see clearly, and that is what makes us open to grace. That mother, I don't see clearly, or the universe, I don't see clearly, show me, give me a signal that I may understand. So then we become open. The arrogance of the ego breaks. What we call the satvicity of the ego, or satvicity of consciousness. That's what I feel. So the admission that I'm blinded. Like Arjun said to Krishna on the battlefield, that right now I am blinded by all my attachments. I can't see, please help me. Like that, So we become open to help. We become very receptive when we understand that no, I'm right now, there is a lot of attachment I can feel in me. And with attachment, I can't see clearly. I will be biased whether I want or not. Like that. Okay, anything more here? Anyone? Okay. So I was sharing from Sri Aurobindo that he also says that there is no separate individual existence, and we are all interconnected and universal. And Thich Nhat Hanh, famous Zen master, he has introduced a very interesting concept which you can go through online. He calls it interbeing. He said that we are not being, we are interbeing. Like the clothes we are wearing, where are they coming from? Some farmer somewhere cultivated some cotton. Somebody gave water. Somebody gave land. Somebody gave money. Somebody gave the factories to produce that cotton. So we are all interconnected. I'm just talking about the clothes right now. Go to the food that you eat. Where is it coming from? How a cloud can be seen, or a droplet of water can be seen in the food you are eating, which may appear very dry, but the water is there. It was there when it was being grown, that food. Your hair, where are they coming from? Your vision, where is it coming from? So we see that so many things are interconnected. We are vastly interconnected with each other. And there is nothing called a separate me. So he introduces this concept of interbeing, where I think the example he takes is of a pencil. And he says that I see cloud in a pencil. And then he explains how he sees a cloud in the pencil. Because where is the pencil coming from? A tree. What sustains a tree? Water. Where is the water coming from? A cloud. So he can see a cloud in a pencil, like that. So when we begin to be open like that, and of course, we have to step away from our storylines, because if we are always too much self-cherishing, always about me and my story and my drama, you don't have even the space to look that, oh, a pencil actually contains a cloud. Or I also contain a cloud, all those elements that I am composed of, all those people who are responsible for so-called me sitting here. So there we can see that how much as I cherish myself, this little me, and how much I may want happiness for this little me, the more I strive for that happiness for this little me, the more I suffer in the process. Why is this happening? We can question. That I'm doing all my best efforts in order that I may be happy. This little me may be happy. But why is it going against me? Because there is no separate rigid me. And you can't be happy at the cost of others. And whenever we will try to fulfill this empty void within us, with all these material, 8 worldly concerns that we talked about, we will suffer, because they all come with their heads and tails. So understanding self-cherishing mind, as we brought out the word, and take it as again one part of your homework for tomorrow or after we end the session, that how when we are suffering or even when we are in pleasant thoughts, it's all about me. I am so self-obsessed. Oh my God. And just like that, I discover for myself that I am self-obsessed. Just notice that other people too are self-obsessed. Mostly, of course, all that they can think of is me, 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 me. So we are all beggars. Actually, we are all beggars. It may sound a little crude. We are all wanting. We are all wanting. Now, when will this cycle end? And there Buddhism introduces very beautiful thing, which is bodhicitta. Bodhi is enlightened. Chitta is heart or mind. So enlightened heart or mind, where you have recognized that I want to end this cycle of craving, craving, wanting, wanting, because I don't want to beg anymore. I want to be, beyond this begging game, which is never fulfilling. I want to be one drop of poison less in this begging game. And there you enlighten your heart, enlighten your mind. That's what they call bodhicitta. So bodhicitta is an aspiration that may I be of benefit to others. At the cost of myself, maybe, doesn't matter. But may I be of benefit to others. And this has come after realizing that the game that we just saw, that we are all begging and nobody is really truly getting fulfilled. And I don't want to be in this game anymore. Right? So bodhicitta is another word, that concept or word you can say, that comes very, very major in the practice of Buddha. It's like opening your heart. So what we can say in integral yoga, we can use the word the psychic aspiration or the psychic opening. So you can actually, you find lots of resonance here, because psychic is just devoted to the divine, aspiring for the divine, open to the divine. And the major factor with the psychic is love. Spontaneous and unconditional love. And with bodhicitta also, it's awakening of spontaneous and unconditional love, because now you see the misery of existence. You don't want to be another contributor to that misery. So that, and they say, and teachers have given discourses and discourses on bodhicitta, because it's so important part of Buddhist practice. That I now don't want to be a harm in anybody's life. I want to be a benefit, not a harm. So you step back from your desires, you step back from your cravings. Why? Because you have done enough harm. So it's a beautiful aspiration that arises spontaneously in the heart. And they say, they actually sing praises of bodhicitta. There are verses and verses on praises of bodhicitta. And they say that how beautiful that this aspiration has arisen in a being, in a human life, that I want to be of benefit to others. So they sing praises and praises, and I think it does a lot of good, because you remind yourself that this human existence is so precious. Why am I wasting in my drama? How long will I waste in my drama when I can be of benefit? And when you want to be of benefit, the side effect is that you will have to step back from your storyline. Because when you are in the storyline and all the entanglements are there, you can't be of benefit even if you keep aspiring. So that's the side effect of this beautiful aspiration, the psychic opening or the bodhicitta, that you will have to step back from your own dramas and storylines. Right? So that's another, after the self-cherishing mind, this is kind of the another main theme that comes in Buddhist practice. Bodhicitta. Yeah, anything here? Anyone? Anything which is not clear? Maybe I'm speaking too much or giving too much information. I don't know. Just tell me if anything is the matter.
Going back a few thoughts ago, I understood you to say, and I missed the beginning part, there comes a point where I may still have suffering, but my suffering won't be about myself. And when does that point come?
That you will tell me after all this practice. You will tell me,
Okay.
and you will know. You will know. Yes, you will know. I am sure. Yes. So it's like, Rick, it's like if I go to as again taking the example of a musical instrument, because that fits so perfectly well with the practice part. So it's like, I go to a teacher, I just got a new guitar, new strings, I'm enjoying, the process. But now I'm after a week, I'm feeling that, oh, it's too much of a practice, that effortless, what strumming or whatever doesn't come that easy, right? And I'm looking at my teacher playing at a concert or something, and he's playing so effortlessly, right? It feels like he's flowing in the flow. And I also want that. But then I don't see that how many hours of practice he puts. So I think it's the same. If we are wanting these beautiful goals in front of us, we see them right ahead in front of us, and we want to be there. We want to be rid of the self-cherishing mind. So first, I need long, moments of practice, not missing even one moment. And I have a feeling, Rick, that it's not too far. Of course, the path is long, the journey is endless. But I have a feeling that getting rid of a self-cherishing mind in a more grosser sense, and to be free of this suffering, emotional suffering that we give ourselves because of that self-concern, I think it's not far away. The only thing that is required from my side is a conviction that now it's enough of my suffering about me. I don't want to enter that poison again. So to be content with whatever I have, and to be very okay with all the voidnesses and restlessnesses that I may feel on the way, but not to indulge in any practice that may again take me back in the self-cherishing or suffering.
That's a very gentle answer to a somewhat silly question. Thank you.
It wasn't silly at all. No, not at all. Yeah, anything here? Anyone? So again, I'm going to that flow chart of how, because this is very important. I may give you a couple of words, good words here and there, which you can reflect upon. But what will pierce through the suffering for us is the cutting through at the body level. So let me go back. I'll give you the flow chart again. So in Buddhism, they say, in Vipassana in Buddhism, they say that mind, how it works is that there is this consciousness. We all have consciousness, and you are listening not because of your ear, because the ear may be there, but if the consciousness is not there, how will you make anything out of it, right? So you are listening, the sound waves are entering the ear, however the mechanism works, and then I'm conscious of that experience. And then the mind is interpreting. And based on the interpretation, I react or respond. So they say that the first step of this process is consciousness. The consciousness registers the occurrence of phenomena. Something has happened. So a person said a nice word to you. You needed consciousness to register that it was a nice word, right? Or that it was a bad word. So the first step is consciousness. That registers that, okay, a word has entered me, so-called me. No? So consciousness comes first. Then the second point is perception. That is also occurring at the mind level. What does perception do? The perception is labeling. It is categorizing. It is saying, oh, is it a nice word or is it a bad word? So if somebody says, oh, you liar. So the liar word enters me. I'm conscious of the word. Now it immediately, and the process is very fast. The process is so fast that we can't actually see that, oh my God, it's a step-by-step process that is happening, right? So consciousness sees the word. Immediately the mind interprets. Liar. Right? Now, the moment it is interpreted, they say the distinction is made. Pleasure, pain, indifference. So either it will induce a very nice sensation in me. Somebody said, oh, you are so smart. Right? So that word smart, either it will induce a nice sensation in me, or that liar will induce a unpleasant sensation in me, or there is something which induces indifference in me, a coldness. So pleasure, pain, indifference. Okay. So first consciousness, which registers that something happened, a word came into my being. Second, perception, which recognizes the word, distinguishes it, understands it, labels it, puts it into the category, good or bad. Based on that, immediately, without my knowing, there is a sensation that arises. This is what we were talking on the first day, yesterday. That sensation is either a pleasant sensation, if the word was good, or a intense sensation, dislikeful, loathful sensation, if the word was bad. I don't feel good about it. Or a coldness or an indifference. This is happening at the level of the body. So somebody say we go for an interview, or many of us may have an experience of that. We are meeting an important person, we go for an interview, it's important for us, job interview, right? Something happens in that interview and we feel something heavy in the chest or maybe in the tummy. So consciousness registered something coming in. We felt, we labeled it, we categorized it, whether it is good or bad, it will get me the job or not. And I felt the sensation in the body, either in the tummy or the heart or wherever, in the head, I start having headache, whatever, it can happen, right? So this happens very fast. So input comes, sensation arises. And the moment the label is given, sensation becomes of like or dislike. Now what happens? If it is good, if it is pleasant, the mind wants to prolong it. So I crave. It should happen more frequently. Oh, why don't that person does that again? Why don't that person say that again? I liked it last time, like that, So the pleasant sensation invokes craving. And if the sensation is unpleasant at the body level, that invokes running away from that, aversion. So I'm still wanting, I'm wanting to be away from that. That's aversion. And along with that comes the reaction, which is either like, oh, I like this place, I like the energy of this place, I dislike this place, I dislike the energy of this place or a person, or a coldness or an indifference, like you don't know, right? So why I am sharing this flowchart with us? Because if we concentrate only on this for some days or months of our life. I have a feeling, and this feeling again is coming from practice, experience. I have a feeling that we need not suffer anymore. And we can be of much, much, much benefit to this world and move towards the life divine that Sri Aurobindo has pointed out. Because this cutting through at the sensation level. Now, why I was telling the flowchart is that when you are tuned into the body and you experience that sensation of pleasantness and the mind wanting more, just be observant that it is doing that again. Stay with the breathing. You don't have to do that again. Of course, you may do that again later, but not out of that craving. Not that you can't be with this feeling of void, that I have to be just full of something, right? And when that unpleasantness happen and a dislike comes for a person or a situation or aversion, be conscious of that sensation in the body. Breathe through it. Be conscious and try your best in that situation not to act through that foolish sensation, because it is not you who is acting. It is the ego which has claimed the house and ruling you. And Sri Aurobindo says that in Savitri. Read. So I'm sure all of us may have gone through Savitri, this or that point of our life, and still do. So he says, just a second, I will tell you the, householder. So if you have PDF of Savitri and you find a word, householder. This is on page number 481, Parable of the Search for the Soul. So here he says, appalled, the householder helpless sits above, taken from him his house, is his no more. This is what has happened to us. All these old sensations and reactions and tendencies have taken our house from us. House is the body. And they are having a gala party. Now we are saying we are ready to come back. And we don't have to fight with those. It's a futile fight. How can you fight with a mirage? All that we have to do is to see that they are impermanent in nature. All these so-called very, very overwhelming impulses and sensations and disturbing emotions. One thing common is they are impermanent. And they have no power over us if I don't fuel it. How do I fuel it? I go back in the storyline and I'm losing connection with the body. I go back in the storyline. I believe that my story is true. All the drama in my head is true. Yes, this is what happened. And hence I have to be angry of that person or, whatever. I deserve to have those disturbing emotions. Why? Because I know the things happened in this way. So as long as I am fueling all those intruders, Sri Aurobindo uses licensed intruders. I have given them license to lodge in my body. So as long as I keep giving them fuel when they come to me, when I become aware of them, there is no hope. There is actually no hope. So this is actually a self-created misery, as Mother says. And Mother says that there is no miserable animal than human being on this planet, because we have misused our mind so much, so badly. So it is high time that we stop misusing the mind and we stop making all those visualizations and imaginations the worst possible nightmares that we can think of about a situation. Because the story in your head about the situation in your life is not true. Why is it not true? Because about the same situation, the other person concerned will have another story in his head. He will say, my story is true. It's a futile fight. He is also wrong and I am also wrong. He also doesn't see clearly. I also don't see clearly. So we really have to be very convinced that all our stories and dramas in life are distortions of perceptions. Yes, Ashwini.
Yeah. Um, I'm just wondering, where does intuition come in here?
Intuition is amazing. It comes in and it doesn't need to ask anyone. Yeah. So intuition comes in and then there is no doubt. That's the quality.
Okay, and how do you distinguish that? Like,
You won't
if you
ask that question. You won't, Ashwini, you won't ask that question. If a child falls, if your child falls in front of you,
yeah,
the first rush is that you go, the first thing that you do is go towards him, help him, right?
yeah,
I don't have a doubt that I should not be doing that at this moment, no matter how many things may be happening at that moment.
okay,
So there is no doubt. It's I feel, and I may be again wrong, look at your experiences and see for yourself. I feel that it's like a nature's call. When you have a nature's call, do you ask 10 people whether I should go to washroom or not?
no,
You just know you have to be in the washroom,
yeah,
like that. So I feel it's like that. And it's not, it's a certitude that is there in intuition. It's not arrogance. So whenever you can sense, since you asked how to distinguish, even if we say, give a pointer how to distinguish, it's not an arrogance. It's not a rigidity. It's a knowing that this is what I should be doing in this moment. And then you also trust other people's call. You give a lot of space for that, because as you give a space for your own intuition to happen, you become mindful of that other people may also be intuitive, and you are mindful of that. You're more open and free in your relationships and interactions, because like you followed your intuitive calls, the other person has also a full right to follow his or her intuitive calls.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Is that clear?
Yes, yes.
And at times, because since the mind distorts very much, Aurobindo mother talk about it, that the mind distorts whatever intuitive insight it may get. And how to know whether I am distorting or not distorting. Walk the path. I think that's the best we can do. So if we don't take the plunge, if I have an intuitive call and I don't take the plunge, how would I know whether it was right or not? Because we will know. We will know. All of us know. We just have to trust it more and more, I think. And to trust it more and more, we will have to experiment with it more and more. To experiment with it, I will have to take more risks. Am I ready? And there comes a time where you become choiceless in following your intuition. Like you are shameless. You don't have a choice that you don't follow that intuition or the call from the heart or whatever you call it. So I think this, and again, this choicelessness is not something far-fetched or not something like I have to wait for ages. You do it for a couple of days intensely. And even for little things like placing a cup here or there, or even very small things also, intuition comes. Follow that call and experiment with it, whether it was right or not. And you become actually slowly, you become choiceless, like intuitive way becomes a way of your being rather than doubting your intuitions all the time. But for that, we have to experiment, and to experiment also, it's like something which I just decide one day, okay, let's experiment, like that. That is totally up to you. For every person, it would be at a different time. So give it a chance. I would say we have to give it more chances so that it becomes way of our being, and takes time. It take time.
Yeah. That's a very interesting example you gave. Thank you. About keeping the cup, or just how to go
Yeah.
about thinking about it. Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Simple things. Yes.
Yeah.
And then also, I think when we are experimenting with intuition, then you also see the results of it. That when you followed, what happened, and when you wanted to follow but did not follow, what happened. And at times we may also feel regret. Regret is a part of this process, because we knew but we didn't follow. So at times I may feel regretful because I had an inkling, but oh, I wished I had, maybe it was strong enough that I could have followed it. At times it can happen. Yeah, so interesting, like an experiment, scientists, we have to explore. Yeah. Okay, so there are a few things which I won't take today. I think today we stay with the flow chart, and again we reiterate that we cut our tendencies at the sensation level. We become conscious of again the craving and the aversion that we discussed today, and then we discussed about the self-cherishing mind. Very important. So keep it at the back of your mind, and see in your interaction, uh, in your relationships, in your troubles, turmoils, and your good points, high points. See that uh, what is the place of the self-cherishing mind. Is it true that it comes into picture and takes away the limelight always, wants it spotlight on itself all the time? And if you see it happening, then step back, give the spotlight to others. That's how you cut through it. So you see an old tendency in function, it is asking you to be in spotlight. For example, that's just one example. And the moment you recognize, oh, it's the self-cherishing mind, old friend, you step back. You make others more important. So that's where generosity comes. And in Buddhism, the antidote to self-cherishing mind is generosity, and also keeping others first. Like if you're standing in a queue, or someone can have a better piece of whatever that you are taking, let him take first. So like that, we slowly reduce our habit of self-obsession. The moment I become conscious of it, I can become more fruitful in that aspect. Yeah. And one last thing that I want to share today, since it is just coming to me right now, is that just notice where you rest your thoughts. Like if I have 2-3 minutes of rest, like empty pockets of time in between where I'm not engaged in anything more active and requiring too much of concentration, see where your mind sinks. And it's perfectly okay if you feel that I stay with my breath or the body, I fully tune into the present moment, remember the mother or whatever. People may be doing it, and that's beautiful. And if not, the other places that we can be in are our storylines, the most commonest place where you can find yourself hiding. So in your storylines, you find storyline or dramas, you find yourself resting. Don't do that. So see that a habit is to do that. And to catch the habit, we have to become conscious and bring it to the present moment in the body, in as staying as awareness. This is one thing which they say, that stay as awareness. Awareness of the thoughts, awareness of the feelings, awareness of all the sounds that are coming, awareness of how are you feeling today. Just stay as awareness, rest as awareness. That is how the mind should rest. The being should rest. Okay. So becoming conscious of where we are resting or banking or anchoring ourselves, where we are not having some active thing to do, because that is where the poison comes from. Because mostly what we do is like, imagine a person who is sleeping in a drain. And when he gets up in the morning, he feels, why am I feeling so filthy? Because he was sleeping in the drain. So when we are full of disturbing emotions and all the entanglements and struggles, we have to know where we were resting. And based on that, the quality of my other moments will be. It's like you are taking a holy dip every time you're resting for 2 minutes, few seconds. You are plunging yourself into true consciousness. If you are staying as awareness, as consciousness. And when you do that, when you rise up into action, then the mind is not filthy. But when I dip as a matter of rest in my storylines and old tendencies and, whatever negative you can think of, then I can't expect a good life. It's impossible. This is again, we can link it to the practice of a musical instrument. I go back to my teacher and I say that my fingers are not moving as swiftly. The teacher will ask me, how many hours or minutes will you practice? Have you practiced? I would say only 5 minutes. Not enough. So I have to be conscious that, and when I'm practicing either the piano or my vocals or anything, I become more conscious of where am I going bad, right? I know where my alignment with the vocal is not there. I notice, then I correct it. And then when I go to the next class, the teacher notices a change in me. That last time you were sounding a little bad at this note. Now you are better. What did I do? What did I do? I noticed that I was going astray there, and I corrected it. So this is how we have to become in tune with the true consciousness, attune to the true consciousness. The moment a deflection comes, I have to be conscious and realign and realign and realign. And slowly, what will happen is that I will lose the bad taste of the self-cherishing mind and working as an ego consciousness and being involved in all those dramas and storylines. I will lose that bad taste. And then it will happen, what mother says in the prayers and meditations, that whenever I do an action which is not consecrated to thee, I feel a pang in my heart. Right now, I don't feel, my life is full of pangs, but it's all pangs, right? But then if I'm tuning more and more with higher consciousness, with my true consciousness actually, then the moment a deflection is there, I become conscious of it, I correct it. It's not the way of my life anymore. I have lost the bad taste. I have lost the taste of suffering for my own self, right? So slowly our taste will change and then a life divine will come. With bad taste right now running for me, how can I expect supramentalization? How can I expect immortality? Not possible. So this is what we will do. We very, very conscious of the moments of rest, seeing where you are dipping yourself, And if you find yourself dipping in poison, you all know what poison is. Please don't do that. Become conscious and dip yourself. Stay as the awareness of that moment. You are not your drama. You are the awareness of the drama. You are the one knowing of the drama. You are the knowing of the drama. I am the knowing of the turmoils. I am the knowing of my practice. Stay as that knowing. So I'm using different words because all of them work. So either we use awareness, you use consciousness, or you use staying as a knowing. When I'm resting as that, then when I arise out of that rest, it is impossible that I'm filthy. I will not be filthy. My actions and speech and things won't be filthy. I will not stink that much. Yeah. So last few minutes, anyone wants to add on or share anything? I think we can end here. So rest I have covered, and sensations I have shared with you, how to cut through, that we have to focus on that. And self-cherishing mind also we have to keep at the back of our head. Yeah, anything. Yeah, I see something. What is there? Montessori psychic education. Sorry, I didn't get it. Did I miss something? Yeah, yes, please.
I observed quite a few years ago a classroom of 4-year-olds, and a child was given automatically had learnt. She took the orange and she cut it up into many, many, many tiny pieces. She gave a piece to every single child in the class. There was about 35 of maybe 25 roughly. So it was a big classroom. And the very last piece, which was probably a bit small, she then took that herself. And she did that. Each one of them would do that through different days. Everybody would just nobody asked her to do it, but she had been shown that that's what they did. And it really struck me when you said about the giving in the queue.
Beautiful, beautiful. So this is how, see the power of training. It's just that we have been trained a little badly, but we can reverse that training. At any point, we can reverse that training. How beautiful. So it's just a matter of a kind of a bad conditioning, and now we are tuning into a good conditioning, which we know that we are doing the right thing. This is what I would like to do. Like that. Beautiful. So the Jetsunma Tenzing Palmo also shared something like that. I remember from your example. She shared that once she went to somebody's place, somewhere in the UK, a friend's place, and she gave a box of chocolates to that friend's child. And that child was like, these are my chocolates, not anyone. I won't share it with anyone, like that. He was very clingy. But the mother and father, the parents, were practitioners. And they said, yes, these are your chocolates, and that is why you can share it with others. And suddenly, like a light bulb opened in his mind, and he then decided that, yes, now I have the power to share and I should share. And then he distributed those chocolates to everyone. So yes, like that. Anything else? Okay, so we can say a sentence of dedication and then end. Oh, we are before time. Great. So let's say a prayer of dedication, dedicating all this merit, all the goodness that we may have accumulated through our collective listening, sharing, understanding, sharing it with all the sentient beings, near and far, the difficult ones and not so difficult ones, the strangers, the creatures, sharing it with all of them. May no one suffer, and may everyone be happy and progressive in their lives. Thank you. Have a good evening, good day to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Monica.
Thank you, James. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Monica. See you all
Thank you,
tomorrow.
Monica.
See you.
Thank you.